got to that point when I opened up for Stoney LaRue, after that, it was just like a wave. It went from playing once every 2 weeks to 4 nights a week. And I started opening up for other people, John Wolfe, a big country music star here in Texas. And I started playing the bigger venues. I've played just about every venue in Austin and around here in Central Texas. I played, with a lot of the greats here in town. And what happened was once I got to that point where I realized that I was living the dream that I had imagined, I stopped, and I'd never done this before, so I don't know where I got the idea for it. I don't know if something just spoke to me and said, do this. But I figuratively turned around. I realized I'm at my goal. I have realized my goal. I have lived it. I have celebrated it. I'm in this. I'm past the honeymoon phase of it. I'm done it. I've done it. And I realized, and I did it, and I stopped, and I said to myself, I think it's time that I turn around now that I've accomplished something, so that I can turn around and say, hey, other veterans that are looking to find themselves in music,
climb out of that hole.
Climb out of the hole. If you're willing and able to do it, let me be the example for you to break out of the shell that you're in, or that maybe you're destined for, so that you can change your life for the better.
That's right.
Because I see their life in danger just like mine was.
Right.
And that gave me an idea. And I will give a little bit of a credit, because I had talked about this with our friend from Heroes Night Out West. And I had talked to him about this idea I had one night, because I wanted to get veterans involved, and I had been playing for the past, now looking back now, it's been 7 years, 8 years now. I would say that I've been playing veteran events for 6 years, for about 6 years. And I was playing them all for free. I wasn't charging anybody anything, but all of them that I was playing left me yearning for more, left me wanting, especially since I was giving up my time and my talent, my energy to go out there and help support the veteran community, which is I'm all about, and that's what it was all about in the beginning. And I came up with this idea. I just wanted to get veterans involved. I wanted to use my education. I'm almost done with my bachelor's.
Woo! That's awesome.
I'm a couple of foreign language classes away from my bachelor's, my 4 years in business management from Texas State University. And I did that all while playing full-time music, 250 shows a year. I wanted to incorporate my education, my experience, what I was good at, which is being with veterans, playing music, putting on a show, planning events, and
business mind.
The business mind. I had great friends like you, a couple of other great friends, Mary Dale and Mr. Dale, Tony Dale, Wes and Judy Pierce from Heroes Night Out, Danny Katona from OP Veteran, also Jim Cochran from Code 6 Integration, Jared Couch from The Oath. I had all these friends that I had surrounded myself with. I had worked with them, and I had this idea. Let's get more veterans in front of veterans, and let's take care of them like they should be taken care of. Let's treat them. I had this idea once. I remember going to these small little gigs where we were getting paid hardly nothing. And, we weren't getting treated like superstars. And I remember having a conversation, and they were like, they're not treating us like George Strait. And I told my guitarist, I was like, you know what? No one's going to treat me like George Strait but myself.
That's true.
So I'm going to start doing it, and, from that point on, I kind of wanted to put myself in a position where I was taken care of, and people were appreciating my talent through, providing stuff for me as a professional and acknowledging me as a professional. Not just saying, oh, hey, he's a professional, but saying, hey, he deserves to be paid for his time. You know what I'm saying? Let's get some accommodations or something. And that's really what I wanted to do for others, for other people who were in my position. Because when I got out of the military, nobody told me I had an identity crisis. Nobody was there to really guide me along in that process. And nobody was there to teach me how to play guitar or tell me that I could do it or say, this is how you get into a venue, or this is how you put a band together. And I wanted to, make it easier for people, for veterans who were trying to find their identity through music, to not only find out what they were doing, but uplift other veterans, the veteran community, as well as helping out these organizations, the organizations that I've been helping and that I've seen grow and that I want to keep seeing grow. I wanted to help out with that. So I joined forces with you and Mary Dale, and we created VerCon. VerCon's one of my babies, and I'm excited because unlike before when I was younger, I can now see through some of this fog and hear through the noise, and be able to see in the future and know that, hey, I'm not going to have $1 million business this week or next month, maybe not even this year or next year, but we can work towards it.
That's right.
And we could just keep making things better, whether it be for ourselves, for other people, for our veterans, for our friends, family, for our community, whatever we can do to reach out, because, they always say, be the person you needed when you were younger.
That's right.
There's people out there that need those people. And some of us are blessed, are lucky, are, have the ability to be that person. And it's people like us that step out there, that opt out and decide, to not
we don't
only
all have to go in that direction. We can stop and go in this direction, and who's coming with me?
And who's gonna be there?
And I'll come with you. I will lock arms and come with you.
And the greatest thing about that, that I've seen so far is that coming, with this mentality, opting out and really trying to believe in what you're doing and follow through with it. I have been blessed, and I have come across the best colleagues. And I tell Caitlin, my fiance, this all the time. I look around, and I'd say 75 to 90% of the people I work with are successful women. And
I love it.
Successful women, and it's great because I get helped from different points of view. The help, the camaraderie, the being a unit is really great, and the people that you meet who are in the same mindset, who have not maybe the same goals, but the same tenacity and the same never quit and just keep going. And even when people are going to tell you, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, you can't do it this way, it's not going to work that way, you can't do that, or it's not worth your time, this, that, and the other. And those are things that you put to the side, and you let them worry about that, about whatever because that's their stuff. That's not who I have so many times in the music industry when I had these traditional older musicians say, well, you got to do it this way, or you got to do it that way. And I always, thank goodness I have the fortitude to do it, but I always told them, hey, you know what? If I did it like you did or like they did, I'd be doing the same exact thing they always did. And that's not what I'm trying to do. That's not who I am. So let me do it my way. And if I failed doing it my way, at least I could say I chose that.
It wasn't chosen for
me. It wasn't chosen for me. And, I make it, it's autonomy. I want to be able to know that.
I love it. And you know what? I'm listening to you, and I'm just so amazed. And I'm just, your story and choices you've made. And it's really touching on a lot of things that I have been thinking about or talking about. And one of them is traversing your own path. That there's so many things out there that say, do what I did, don't reinvent the wheel, follow my path, have my success. And a lot of people are signing on to that. They're thinking that that's the answer. A lot of self-help books and people are saying, you want to be rich, do what I did. But like you were saying, that's their path. They were able to receive that success because that was what was built for them, right? Their experiences, their past, their background, all of that contributed to them being able to work that. And yes, they write great books, and it's encouraging. Like, yes, it can be done, but whenever you start following that person's success, you've kind of left your own path behind.
Right, yeah. And I've always, I've believed that wholeheartedly. And for me, it started with my dad with music. When I was younger and I was learning how to play drum set, I remember, I remember telling my dad I was real proud because I wanted my dad to be real proud of me. I could play drums just like you.
Right.
And I remember he said, hey, if you can learn to play to this album, you should be able to learn to play anything. And I remember learning the song, and I called my dad in one day into the studio and go, hey, Dad, listen to this. I pressed play and I played to it. And I remember that talk he gave to me immediately afterwards. He said, that's good. You sound just like the CD. But that's not what it's about. What it's about is putting what you think is good to it. Putting your style onto it. Putting your talent to it. Anybody can go sit there and learn and just do it. But when you start to put your own talent and your own self into it, that's when it becomes you. And one of the things I've always believed is that when you find your path and what you're supposed to be doing, there's an enlightenment that comes from it.
That's right.
That only works for you.
That's right.
It only works for you. And
just like for you in Stony LaRue and all that working out, that was your path. And you worked hard for that, but that was yours. And somebody might say, man, will you mentor me? And you're like, yeah, I'll mentor you. And they might say, yeah, I want to do it just like you. And you'd be like, no. Right? Like, what would you say to someone?
I've done that before. I've had a lot of friends, in Austin, the live music capital of the world, being able to play 250 times a year.
Yes, it's huge.
It's a really big thing, and it's not because everybody knows my name. It's not because I'm the best in town, because I'm not. It's a big thing in Austin because of getting out there, playing all the time, just being able to do, achieve certain things.
It's like the music version of networking, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, I've had people who were trying to maybe walk in that path of playing a bunch of places, opening up for people, playing and getting paid what you want at certain venues. And personally, because I've gone through that and I found that people's path wasn't my path. What I find myself telling people is like, I'll tell them, hey, you know what? I can tell you my experience, and I can tell you the pitfalls.
Right.
But the rest is on you to find out. It's on you to experience. I could just give you some hit or miss on what I did, and you can, you can zero yourself. Put your spin on it and zero yourself. But what I did is not going to work for you because I am more outgoing. I am more, I think that I have a better ability to go out there and just talk with people and interact with people I don't know. I'll just walk up and start talking to people about anything, and by the end of it, we will be friends for a long time.
Right, and you've sold like 5 shirts.
Exactly, and that makes me different from other people, which means our paths aren't. If they were the same, they're not going to come out the same.
Right, and also your background, your military background, what that was like for you being a musician at heart, why you're doing it. I mean, everything lines up. It's just why it's like you can, for example, signature. You could sit and learn forever how to forge a signature, right? And it takes a lot of time and effort to do so. Why would you want to do that? When you can just have your own signature that's yours.
Of course.
And everybody has that. And it's so neat because really everybody wants to be different. Everybody wants to have their own special thing that they contribute to this world. Yeah. And we're meant to. I feel like what we want is what we've been given to desire.
I think as of lately, I think that's becoming more apparent as of like, the late 90s, individualism is coming in. I don't think it has arrived until the last couple of years, really. I think people, if some people were different. Some people could appreciate it, and they would be on a path. But I think now that individuality is such a big thing now, there's so much individual touch that you could put on anything, from a house to a phone to music to artwork to anything, that is big now. And I really, my fiance, she's looking to do her own thing. She's looking to, with her artwork, to design things and stuff like that. And, I tell her all the time, sometimes she might think or get an idea, hey, maybe I should be doing this because other people are doing it. I'm like, hey, you know what? I think you're really good at the things that you do. And if you continue on that, there's something there for you.
And that's what we all need to hear. Honestly, I think we need to surround ourselves with a community of people who we can support each other, and they're going to tell us, kind of encourage us. So we know what we're supposed to do. We know what we want to be doing. And there's that time we want to veer off because fear will set in, or people will say things, and it'll cause us to kind of say, well, maybe we should do something else. And it's like, you're right. And to have that person to say, okay, well, let's ask those questions. What are you doing? Where's your passion? Why do you want to do it? Oh, yeah. And I really do believe that is so important for us to have whenever we are traversing our paths, when we're opting out of what everybody else is doing, because a lot of the general society will say, don't reinvent the wheel, do it the easy way, don't do any extra work. We've boxed it up for you to buy and recreate it, and so you'll have our success. And people end up so disappointed because they don't get what they expect out of it, and they are kind of leaving their creativity behind in order to do something like that.
I think that everybody, no matter who they are, I think that there's something deep down that people love.
Yes.
And, whether it was, if somebody could find a way to make money watching trains,
Right.
I think that would make somebody happy enough to just watch trains or work on trains or something.
That's right.
If people in this world believed in themselves enough to go out on the limb and focus on what they are personally good at and not focusing on everybody else, I think that people would be more successful in what they're doing.
And what they're doing, yes, because they're doing what they're supposed to. I feel like we're born. I feel like we're born with that calling, whatever that calling is, and it's almost like a piece, a matching piece or set.
And I still feel that even though I survived 6 years in the Marine Corps. I've built up a sustainable music career, and I've gone through college, starting a nonprofit organization, helping out my community, veteran focus. Even now, doing all of that, I still don't feel rested and content, and I still feel as if I'm still meant for something even bigger, something that's just bigger.
I know our conversations and your entrepreneurial spirit, so I think you're meant to just put a bunch of stuff out there and encourage other people to kind of do the same, or maybe creating the platform. Kind of Burcon is a platform, so based on what you've been through, you've created a platform to make it easier for people to kind of climb out of that hole.
Exactly.
Right? Where you kind of had to figure it out kind of on your own, and that was real rough. And although they have wonderful programs to help veterans, it's really neat to have a creative piece.
Yeah, and not only that though, but what I believe that is most important is to have that person who has been in that position. If someone would have told me back then that I was going to have to starve for the first year and that I was going to have to go through it because everybody went through it, it wouldn't have been so hard, or maybe I would have planned for it or something. There's those pitfalls that having somebody who's been in that pit and climbed out and who opted out, having that person there to give that testimony to say, hey, you know what, it's bad right now. You may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I know this sounds like the same old story to be telling someone in this position, but you got to understand that if you just keep going, it's gonna be there.
That's right. You keep moving forward and surround yourself with people who are going to pour water back into your glass.
Exactly.
And not take it out.
That's crazy. The first time I'd ever heard that analogy, I was going through a marital class in the military, and it was a couples course, and they were telling us how they had thought that they come up with this way of explaining it to us, that each person in a relationship has these cups, or how they put it, these bank accounts. And it's physical touch, it's love, it's time, it's gifts, it's whatever, however they're loved. And
love languages.
Exactly. And they're saying, putting a little bit in each bank account is where it's at, but I've heard that concept before. Bank account, cup, whatever.
It's true, and that's something I'm writing a book, surprisingly enough, and one of the things, a lot of inspirations that have come across, and with coaching and all that, but one of the things I was thinking about, especially because the whole self-love, that's huge right now. Everybody talks about self-love. And and it sounds great, but the interesting thing is, depending on how it's portrayed, like logistically, how can you love, like self-love, like it's saying that you can reach within yourself and create something that's not there, right? Like we can love, and I can pour into your glass and fill, but I've poured something out, so now something's gone. I can't refill that on my own.
Of course.
Right? That has to be poured back, whether it's from you, another person. I can pour love into my pets, right? And that's something out. And maybe, them loving me back, but I cannot manifest what I poured back out on my own. I can do something that makes me feel relaxed. I can take a bath, all of that other stuff. It can relax me, but essentially I can't put back in what I've poured out.
Of course,
right?
on that pathway to being happy.
It's true, and so I think that there's that detour, of things being said that says, oh, well, all you do is save yourself, love yourself, which I think sounds so sad. It's nice to know that there's community that people can come alongside if I'm struggling and I need extra help, that I can plug into a community so I'm not, remember, saying not alone. Remember, you said you realized you needed help. So to bring together, so this, and it's so neat because we were talking about like running a half marathon, right? That you can't just show up. They'll laugh you out the place. Or you won't even get past very far, but you train. And I honestly feel like this segment, for example, this extraordinary zone, it's a bit of training. Training based on people's experiences. No, they can't follow you on your path, but they can learn, be encouraged, and come alongside you and others in their path. And so to start with it, I love it, identity crisis, right? When we're feeling lost, when we're struggling, when we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we want to heal ourselves. Are we struggling with an identity crisis? That's such a great point. I love that. And I'm just thinking of so many things I've heard, how that can be solved. It's like, I shouldn't say solved, but that is just a great answer for many things.
Just to reiterate on that point, that identity crisis, just like you're saying with those cups of love, my cup as a Marine was not being filled out here in the military or in the civilian world. And, without that cup being filled and getting that affirmation that I'm being a good Marine, really hurt down here, because that's all I knew I was. Since I was 18 years old, I was indoctrinated into a system where I was part of a team, and I had a job, I had a purpose, I was doing it for a reason, and I was doing a good thing. And that identity crisis, when I realized I could put all of that effort and that all of that into being a musician, which is what I should be doing. It exponentially grew.
That is so great. And I just hope anyone who's hearing or watching this will think about that, because a lot of people struggle with what route to take when it comes to their health. Do they want to go the medicine cabinet route? Do they want to take a minute to get some help from people in their community or people who have gone through what they may have gone through, to see what that, or combination, just knowing that in your experience. And I think it's just it's such an opting out thing and such a strength. And you have to realize, like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? It's just amazing. You don't necessarily answer that. I'm amazed at that, because that's such a hard thing. And a lot of us can be like, I know I can be encouraged. I had a conversation today with someone, like, saying, you can say no to these things. Like if you don't want to take this or take that, or if you're not sure, you need some time to think about it. It's okay. You can do that. You can do a little bit more research, or ask a little bit, ask for help in a different way.
Look around you. I think I learned a lot of that from my mom. I remember when I was younger, my mom being a young mother and me being a young child. I remember times where we didn't have a home that we were living in. And, her working to get us out of a situation that we were in, all the way around, knowing, having something to do it for, and following through with it. I learned a lot of that from my parents.
It's amazing. And what great things to pass. So we have identity. And then the other thing goes in is asking for help.
Reaching out.
Yes, it is okay. Surround yourself in a community of people who are going to pour back into your glass. Another thing that you said that was really encouraging was setting that goal and investing in yourself, and doing it to where it hurts a little bit, right? A little.
I think that not doing it to where it hurts, but I think that the byproduct of investing in yourself. I don't think there's one right way to invest in yourself, because, a cook might need some the knives and stuff, or the pots and pans. I needed a guitar and an amp, and, painters need their tools and stuff like that. But, it's one long fight, and you got to stay in it the entire time.
That's right. You got to keep going. And then the other thing you said was to was that? So it was investing in yourself.
Oh, but what I was going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt
no,
you, by the way, but I think that the byproduct of doing it right,
Mm-hmm.
and following your path is it'll hurt for a little bit.
That's right.
I was talking to my fiance the other day because there was a couple those everybody deals with situations in life, and one of the situations we had dealt with was there's these times in life where you get comfortable where you are, and you see what you want, and you get a little bit of a little uncomfortable because you can see what you have, and you can see what you want. And I told her, there's these times when you're on this bubble of growth where there's this uncomfortableness because you're growing. It's these growing pains, and you're going towards that. And I think that's really important,
It is, the whole part of success or heading to where you want is to expect the pains, the growing pains,
Expect the growing pains.
Discomfort. It's not a comfortable thing.
But it doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't. But the unfortunate, well, let's say unfortunate part of growing, you get used to it. Part of growing though is that next step is going to be another stretch. A great analogy is working out, right? Mm-hmm. When you work out, when you're trying to build muscle, you have to stretch past into a discomfort. Essentially, you're tearing your muscles, right? And that hurts when you think about it, so that they can rebuild bigger. They're like, okay, we gotta get bigger, so the next time we lift something, we're gonna be able to handle it.
Of course,
so if you want to build more, you tear them down again.
And in that, being able to handle, so not everybody's able to, but to be able to be the person to handle what you're doing, and then try to help uplift others, is where I've never sat down and thought about it as a strength of mine. But I can see how it is.
That goes to my next point. I'm remembering it, serving. I think that that is probably the biggest part of a success story. Like, you have people talk about what they call success, but I mean, when you really look at someone who's truly successful, it is someone who's constantly giving back. Because people will try to use that you can call it math, if you will. If I only have this amount of energy to give to this, why should I have this amount of energy to give to serving? That's something where math doesn't work. That's one of those things that, you can't quantify it. It's just one of those, magical things happen. When you give, serve, you can liken it to tithing, really. Tithing doesn't have to be about money. When you serve in ways where you're sacrificing time, effort, whichever, you're giving up something totally selflessly. I've always seen this. I have never not seen this. What you're doing gets lifted in amazing ways. Where you're like, how'd that happen? I don't even know I had time for that. Where'd that come from? It's so amazing. And so that's that last piece that ties it all together is having that servant's heart.
Of course.
And being willing to serve. And look at where you're going with that. You're saying, okay, I did all this stuff. And you felt like, I could keep writing this, but I feel like that I'm done in this place. And now I'm focusing on my school. And I want to help people so that they're not climbing out of that hole because they might not see it the way you saw it.
Yep.
And I think you saw that. Not everybody's going to say, I love music and I'm going to push for it, because most, unfortunately, in society, the creative arts, the creative community, but the way it's kind of seen is it's hobby.
Sure.
No, if that is your calling, do it. Walk in it. But don't expect to be the superstar that is this. Maybe your career as a musician looks different. Maybe you're starting a school. Maybe you're teaching it. Maybe you're creating a whole other niche that is not being done. I think what happens is that people say that they attribute success to a specific thing, that someone else's success, or maybe even several that type, and saying, for me to be a successful musician, I have to be this person or like this person, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Try to emulate. I've never, musically, I've never really tried to be like someone. I've done a couple of things. I wore a headband like Stoney LaRue because I was trying to emulate him for a couple of months, and stuff like that. But for the most part, and my band, if you ever ask some of my band members, they'll tell you, when I went and opened up for Stoney LaRue, I just showed up 6 hours early. And it wasn't because I was going to go stand by Stoney and say, oh my God, Stoney, I'm finally opening up for you. I showed up to go open up for Stoney LaRue, and I showed up to go look at the crew members to see the gear that they were using, to see how they were setting it up. If there was something that I could learn from them to emulate so that I could be successful like they were. So, every concert I've ever gone to, I've been there way earlier than anybody else because I want to look at the gear they're using. I want to see how they're using it, what their setup is. I want to see, something that I can learn that I can tie into what I'm doing so I can be successful of what I'm doing. And to get at that point you were making with the serving, I didn't know it. I didn't know this when I got out of the military. I was just doing it, playing these events for free because I kind of felt like there was this, it's not that big of a deal. I could just go over there and do it and I'll help them out. And I didn't realize it until I gave a speech at Texas State University spring of 2018. I gave a speech to the entrepreneurship section of Texas State University.
Amazing.
Very, very proud of it.
That is so amazing.
And I will say this real quick. I'm one of 3 people to give a speech and sing a song right after. 3 people.
Wow.
It's me, Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, and George Strait.
Wow.
But anyway,
that's awesome.
Joining an elite club, but
Yes.
I remember I was in the middle of a speech at this for this entrepreneurship section, and at the end I remember telling them this wasn't planned, but they were asking me, what are the things I can do to be successful, and the very last thing I left them with was I told them, no matter how you feel about it, no matter how much it takes for you to do it, you're going to want to go out there and you're going to want to do things and help other people along the way because down the road when you need their help, they're going to be there for you.
Oh, everybody's going to be, and they remember the smallest
They
things.
will remember.
It's amazing.
Perfect example, Josh Clayman. I didn't know who Josh Clayman was until I did Vet Fest 2017. And I showed up early like I always do, way before any other band member who was playing that day. And I was helping the sound guy. I didn't know him. I was just like, you know what, I'm here early. Let me help you put stuff out and run some chords and do some stuff. Help you do the sound check. And turns out he's one of the sound men for one of the most successful country acts in Texas, Cody Johnson.
Wow.
And when I learned that, I realized, this is somebody that, maybe can do something for me down the road, but let me see what I can do for him now. And I was the only person that night out of maybe, a dozen musicians that stayed after and helped him put everything away. He didn't pay me anything. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't complain about nothing. I just went over and I said, hey, let's get this done. Let me help you out. After that, he did Vet Fest 2018 with us last year at Old Settlers Park. There's been a couple times where he's given me advice. He's come and consulted on something with me, or he's let me borrow gear. It's those relationships that you build when you do those small things that they can't necessarily repay you for, that they're going to remember, and down the road they're going to say, hey, you know what, I remember you helping me when there was nothing in it for you. Let me help you out real quick.
It's like building a beautiful home. I really do feel like that. Building your foundation, community, and all that other stuff. I think that's the focus that I would encourage anybody who's listening or hearing. I really do encourage whatever you feel pulled to do. And if you don't know what that is yet, that's okay. Maybe it's not time for your purpose to be awoken yet, but just know that you have one.
It's there.
Yes, but know that even before you know what it is the way you treat everyone. It is. It's like building a home, starting with the foundation and the piping. Everything you do, every kindness thing is building very structural foundation. And when you don't treat people right, it's not going to have great integrity. And once you need to be in it, it's going to fall apart.
And you definitely, when you needed those people the most, they won't be there.
You want to fill that home with people when you need it. You want it to be something that'll be structural integrity. Nobody's going to want to get in there. But if you build something beautiful and comfortable, and it comes with every kind and selfless thing we do, even when we don't think we'll see the person again or don't know. And that's something you can't fake it. It really is something that comes from doing that heart check and saying, what am I doing? And I think what happens, I really do believe this, is really great people get these goals, especially when they're stepping out on their own and doing their own businesses. They will have great goals. They will have a great path, but there's that fear, right? That fear, that competition. And it's not even like that they do it. I think it's the pressure, the outside pressures, whether you're having to worry about paying your bills, or you're worrying about being successful, or people have been not saying that you're not going to do it, and people kind of hear those voices, and it's so sad because those voices tend to be the loudest, and then now they're working from this fearful place and not from this natural place. And I do believe like stuff like what we're doing with this podcast, and then hopefully you're going out there and anybody you meet that you're now, I'm speaking encouraging and I'm speaking beautiful music to you, so that you can do what you need to do, so that I am now speaking louder or at least more positive than the stuff it's already coming at you. And believe me, I believe every single person on this planet, baby, unborn, grown up, older, they have the voices, they have the thoughts that are coming that are trying to create and seed fear. And the voices that say, no, you're great, no, you're fine, you're doing, for mothers, you're doing a great job, or for husbands, you're doing great, or for fiancés, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with your relationship. The positive truths, just we have to really actively speak them out there to the stranger, to the people we know, to fight against the fear and the voices and the things that just kind of want to beat us down. And what I'm calling it is the box. Put you back in the box,
Sure.
Put it in that place to where you don't step out, you don't get out of your comfort zone. Because and this goes to what you're saying, it hurts, right? As soon as you step out of your comfort zone, now it's different for different people, but a lot of times you're going to get the encouragement. You're going to have people that really encourage you, but really be prepared, because they're going to be the ones that don't. And it's going to hurt, because they're going to be the ones that you want to encourage you. Please don't let that stop you. Just find people who are telling you the encouraging things, because if you look, they're going to all be saying the same things. They don't even know each other. And I do believe that is just got that blessing of you are doing what you're supposed to do. Great example, this podcast, totally out of my comfort zone. Never thought I would ever do anything like this. I'm like, why does anybody want to hear me speak? There's that voice, right? Why does anybody want to hear me speak? I hear that. But then when I put it out and I started getting, I recorded my first one about 2 or 3 weeks before I even released it. And I put it out and I started just slowly trickling it out, not sure what to expect. And several people, same thing, you have a great voice. It's very relaxing. And it's just so encouraging, even though I didn't know what to expect doing it. Didn't know my voice was relaxing. Glad that they don't get sick of hearing me talking. But it's encouraging that as I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, even though I've got why would anybody care what you have to say? Saying, and things like that. Pushing past that, saying, you know what, if one person, literally, and I think that's what comes down to. So I encourage you, our producer back there, thank you so much, husband. Love you. But anybody that's listening, I want to encourage you to always keep just pressing forward, even when you have that feeling of maybe I shouldn't do this, because there's a reason, and to always find that perspective. And and just think about it this way: when you have something going on, and a lot of times it's very easy for us to start determining our success by quantity. I need so many people to show up. I need so many people to like it or listen. And once we start thinking that way, and I've been there with events, is I'll start getting nervous about it, or I'll start getting fearful about it. And someone said to me after I asked for some prayer in this, and she says, what is it that you're trying to do? Like, what is the true reason that you're doing this in the first place? Like, reevaluate and find that purpose, that why. And I'm like, I just want to encourage someone. And if that's just one person, then I've done my job. And I have to say, I've never been disappointed. And if it's one person who listens to it whenever, walks away and feels like they can do the thing they want to do, whether it's, I have so many people, I want to start a podcast. So I'm like, let's do it. I will help you do it. And I think we should do that. Lock arms and help each other. So, thank you so much for coming on our
Thank you for having me.
He's our first Extraordinary Zone person. Yay! I love it. I love this guy. He's so great. You can look back on our podcast archives on our website. You can go to iTunes, Spotify, and Google if you want to listen to other things. We will be having more guests on the Extraordinary Zone, so please check back for that, as well as other Opting Out podcasts. Feel free to find us. We love to be social, so you can find James here on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us, House of Zeddy, as well on both of those. And come be social with us. Let us know how you're doing, how we can encourage you, and any other things you like to do. Let's all be the light that we kind of spread to encourage each other. So we thank you. We love you all. And please come back soon.